This morning, Lisa has got Lynn in for a shampooing set. Beckett, you've got Valerie in for...
Vicky is the educational lead for an independent training provider specialising in hairdressing and beauty therapy. She is briefing a group of Level 2 and Level 3 learners prior to a busy day in the salon. She is using this session to help learners make connections between the maths they have learnt on the programme and their practice in the salon.
Obviously, you'll do your consultations yourself. The people doing cutting, I want you to focus on what cuts you're doing, what degrees and angles you're using. For the people doing colours, it'll be your ratios of colours, what you're mixing, the levels of peroxide you're putting together, and then you all have to take your own bills.
The session will help reinforce some essential concepts in a practical setting. It will also allow learners to reveal their current understanding and provide Vicky with some opportunities for formative assessment.
So you're doing your cut today. Tell me how face shapes would affect the choice of cut and what we're trying to achieve overall using a face shape.
We always do the cut depending on the face shape, so it flatters the look of the client. So, for example, if the face shape was oval, you'd do the cut more squared off, just so it doesn't emphasise the roundness of the face.
Yeah.
There's like 4 main different cuts. So, for example, you've got your one length, which is you pull straight down from the head, causing no graduation. So you're cutting at 0 degrees. This is a one length. So you cut straight across, so there's no graduation, no sort of layering that's in there.
So Becky, if we're doing a one length cut, what angle are we going to do it at?
Right down to 90.
So it's 0 degrees. Okay, so what are we doing today, Nathan?
So what we're doing is we're just going to do a one length.
Okay.
So we're going to be taking off just all the ends.
Yeah. So we've got a one length cut, so what angle are you going to hold the hair at?
0. And that's just to
0
get rid of any graduation.
degrees to remove graduation. So what kind of cut is it if we're going to put layers into it?
It'd be a long grad.
Long graduation. What angle do you roughly hold the hair at for a long graduation?
About 125, 135.
So 125 to 135 degrees, depending on the angle that you actually need.
We're doing a short graduation cut. So Diane likes it nice and tapering at the back, and then longer on the front to give the height when it's all dry.
Yeah.
But then shorter around the front again. And slightly over the ears, but not too much. This one's got layers in, so this one, it will be shorter here and longer here, so it will fall over it, whereas this one, it's all one length.
Okay, so we're doing about 1 inch off altogether in the nape. So what angles are we going to be using?
So we cut pull out at 90. So this is your 90 degree, and then your fingers would be angled at that 45.
At 90.
And then cut at 45. You pull the hair out at 90 and then you cut at 45.
Okay, so you're going to have to watch your angles as you come around here. The 2 areas that you need to concentrate on are behind the ears. I think we try our best to link practical and theory together, whether that's hairdressing or maths, because as a group, if we stereotype, hairdressers are practical people. So they want to be in that environment learning. So we always try and bring theory into the practical room wherever possible. You've got to link it in to make it interesting to them and make them understand where it fits in. And how much are you taking off?
About 2.5 inch.
When we teach them, we teach inches and centimetres, and we're talking about cuts. Strangely enough, it always seems to be that clients and students, even the younger ones, talk about inches with cutting. We have to teach them to understand it, you know. 2.5. There's a difference between 1 and 2.5, so how much are we taking off?
2.5 inch.
2.5. Estimation is something I think that is getting them to understand the difference between guessing and estimation. They think estimation means to guess. So when they're working, they use a lot of estimation, estimating length. Is a client happy with that? They need to make that estimation. What's it called when you bring it forward?
Forward graduation.
Forward graduation. Some things they can't estimate, colours, ratios, has to be exact. Are we thinking an all-over colour? Is that what you've had in the past? Is that a good match? So if your natural base is a 6, what's your undertone? What's the underlying tone that's going to run through it?
6, is it? Orange.
Orange. Existing colour. So we need to look at what's on the ends. What kind of colour do you think's on the ends? Blends in quite well.
Compared to
doesn't it?
this one, which was a bit too dark.
Existing colour on the ends is 6 GB. So now we need to think about percentage of white. I don't even think we're at 30% now. So is that going to really affect your colour choice?
No.
No.
Compared to if it was higher, we'd have to do
You'd have to change your ratios to meet
all your colour as well.
the grey needs. So
Not even.
I'd put 0 because there is grey but it's not affecting the service. So if we look, we're going to go with 5 BG and 5N. So how much 5 BG are you going to use? Remember, it's sort of a global colour.
It's top chic, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
So what ratio is it?
1 to 1.
So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So what are we going to mix? How much solution do you think you're going to need? Quite a bit?
Yeah, quite a fair bit.
Okay.
So if I say did, I feel bad if I say too much.
No, go. I'd rather you have too much than not enough.
Like say 40 to.
So
it's just
40
toning.
It will
mils
be straight up the back. What I'll do is I'll make
to 10 mils.
it goes like that, so it's softer.
So how
So it's not
much?
too much.
What peroxide are you going to use?
So if you use the wrong peroxide, or you put too much in, or the wrong ratio, then it won't work, or might damage the client's hair more. That's lifting.
That would lift slightly and cover grey. We don't need to worry about that. So we only need the
Like 4,
3%.
3.
So 3%. And how much 3% are we going to mix?
Well, 50 mils.
50 mils. Perfect. Yeah. So if you write that on there, and then you can start mixing your colour. Most students would say that they're not comfortable at all with ratios, same with percentages or anything like that. But they're all a lot more comfortable than they think as long as it's practical. So if I ask them to mix a colour, they can do it, but if I ask them to do it in a classroom setting of a sheet of maths doing ratios, they'd all go, I can't do that. But in a practical setting, they do it every single day, so they have to be extremely comfortable with it.
Firstly, Charlie needs to mix the colours required to achieve the overall tone that she has selected. In this case, it's the permanent colours 5BG and 5N, and they will need to be combined in the ratio 4-to-1. Previously, she had estimated that she would need about 50 grams of this colour solution altogether, to which she will add the peroxide.
I've just mixed 40 mils of 5BG, and then I've mixed 10 mils of 5N.
The amount of peroxide required depends on the manufacturer's specifications, and for these colours, it's in the ratio 1-to-1.
And then I reset the scales and then put 50 mils of 3% in, which is the peroxide.
We're dealing with students from lots of different places. So some students will mix colour using millilitres, so they use a little jug and they'll pour it in, whereas our students are using scales.
So when we've put the bowl on, we reset the scales, so then it brings it back to 0, and then we can get an accurate measurement of how many mils of the colour that we've got to make sure it goes and takes properly on the head, on the client.
So basically we've just gone over everybody's consultation. We go through every single learner to make sure that they know exactly what they're going to be doing with their clients, and we like to go through the theory aspect to link what they've done in the classroom into the practical session. I think they all adapt to the maths really well when it's practical. They don't even know they're doing it until you actually pull it out. And I think it really surprised them today with such a big focus on maths in the practical session of how much they'd actually done.
What do you usually pay, Lynn?
It's family and friends.
Right, okay, that's
Sarah's
fine.
my
Oh, that's
daughter.
fine. Lovely. And then go to your discount, family and friends, yeah. And sale.
£6 today.
Like any commercial salon, the learners become aware of the importance of timing and how, as a team, they need to coordinate the different processes taking place so that the salon works effectively as a unit.
Check out.
And is it a full head of colour in a cup?
Yes, it is.
Okay, yes, there's your
There
total.
we go. So that's £38 today then, please. That's
Well done for today. Some really good work.
To end the session, a debrief.
Charlie, we'll start with you. With what maths did you do? Do you want to share with the group what we covered?
I used ratio to mix my all over colour, and then in my cut with my layerings I used angles, and then also with my one length bringing it just straight down.
And I think it's quite interesting to see and hear their reflections on how much maths they know now that they do every day in their lives that they didn't actually think they did. I think if we'd have asked them cold this morning, how much maths would we do today, they would have gone, not much. I think it's quite interesting at the very end to see that there was so much they'd done and how much they'd taken from it and how much they found it interesting because it was practical. The cut that you did, Charlie, which angle did you use?
With my one
So with your one length, because that was the main one that you sort of focused on. So you were 0, you were right to the bottom, weren't you? So with your long graduation, thinking that long graduation can be anything from 125 to 135 degrees, where do you think you're sat?
about 125-ish.
Yeah, it probably was for the angle that you were cutting at, definitely. But way up here somewhere, so you can see the sort of different ranges that you were working through. So Nathan, what did we cover with you today?
Just the cutting on a one length, so just 0 graduation, so straight down.
Straight down. What was your biggest challenge today?
For a lot of hair.
The length and the lot of hair, yeah. So it's acceptable to make sure you get that 0 degrees to get that client to stand up. If it's a small child, it might be easier to get them to sit on a stool, but it's acceptable to make them stand because you need that hair as flat to the head as you possibly can. Fab. Becky.
The uniform bit was pulled out the head at 90 and just cut straight across.
To keep that nice round shape. Brilliant. So you all covered other areas of maths, taking your bills at reception, making sure the clients get the correct change and they've got the correct discounts that are in there, and all the other things that you have to make sure at reception that you're booking the times in for their repeat services and things correctly. So you did really well today, both in your hairdressing skills and the linking in with the maths that we did. So well done.
Thank you very much. We'll see you later. Lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Bye-bye.